Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. Okay. My my album's coming out anytime soon, trust me. Is it me you're looking for? Hey! Yo! Lobotomy, how's it going? Good to see ya. How's it? Good to see ya. Hope everything is treating you fantastic. That's good to hear. What do you figure going on these days? Me personally, I did a very long run today. That was very tiring. Not long, but long for me. It's like, ugh, I'm out of shape. I'm trying to get back into it, but it's gonna take time to do that correctly. Ooh, never. How's it going? How goes it, my friend? How goes it? Hello, hello. Yeah. Getting some water. Um, uh, doing good. No, no news yet, really. Trust me, when I have official news on the publishing, I will broadcast it loud to the whole world. I'm taking a class tomorrow, so but yeah, no news on that front yet. So we'll see. It still might not happen. You know, it's not guaranteed yet. So it's actually a writing class. It's a creative writing class. I don't know. Uh, just something fun to do. And plus, since we're doing this whole um, let's let's be like let's sell short stories to magazines thing, I need to start writing a lot more short or a lot more short words, a lot more short stories. I also ran today, so I'm a little bit tired. Nice, nice, very nice. It's a good feeling to get that far. Yeah, I used to run a lot, but well, it got cold. That was the main reason I stopped, and then just kind of fell out of practice. So I'm a little bit out of shape. So it's a shame because I used to be able to run like 5 miles every day, and it's like nope, not doing that anymore. I'm gonna try and get back to that, but we'll see. Yeah. Oh well, there's a nice shaded path right next to my house, so it's usually not that big a deal if it's hot. Uh, I can just run under a lot of trees, so it's not that big of a deal. But what does prove to be a problem is when it gets a little cold. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's good because it sounds like the current job was uh, pretty obnoxious. So you heading out to the Midwest sounds good. I imagine it will be very cold there. Ah, makes sense. Uh, as we all should do. Yeah. So why bother, right? Oh, I'm tired. I always think I'm not going to be tired from running, then I always am. Oh, what have you. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It'll get better as I do more of it. Especially since the weather's nice right now. I'm going to try and do more of it. Not going to do it tomorrow because I'm going to be driving downtown. I'm actually really looking forward to that. It'll be nice to like get some writing done. And if I get some good writing done, you know, because we're going to do like little writing exercises. So, hopefully that means I'll be able to get some like good flash fiction pieces out of this and submit to more places. I do have some other flash fiction stuff I wrote that I need to edit. So I probably could do that, but I don't want to at the moment. I don't want to. I want to. I want to just relax because I spent all weekend editing it. I spent all weekend editing the story. So hopefully, I hope this process goes a lot easier. The more, hopefully this is the first of many instances where a publisher expresses interest. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Remember, well, I finished my novella and then I spent the next year rewriting it. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a little part of me. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I want to take the class because I want to take the class, but partly why I wanted to take the class was to get motivate myself to do stuff. I give me some direction. Well, my problem is I always get so fiddly with everything. I just want to keep messing with it. Anyways, I like my novella. I really do. That's why I'm putting as much effort into it as I am. But every once in a while, I go like, oh, I'm still working on this. How long is this gonna take? Yeah, I do. It's I just want to write it to the full breadth of my abilities, not half-ass anything. Because I'm getting very close. It's one of the longer projects I've ever done, so I want it to be. I want it to be the best it can be. Yeah, I know my ending too. Yeah, that's always good. Hmm. Well, now that I've got a publisher interested, there's a little thought of like, well, maybe maybe I should try and get it published by an actual publisher, not just self-publishing. We'll see about that. I might do a Kickstarter. Not sure yet, but we'll see. Yeah. There it is. Thank you. So how's your book going? So yeah, that's good. Very fun. Very fun. Have you ever Robin? Running Robin. Uh, have you ever read? What was I about to say? The Spirit. Have you ever read The Spirit? The Flash. How's it going, Robin? Good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah. Have you read The Spirit? Have you ever looked into Spirit comics? I really like The Spirit. Darwin Cook. I mean, I love Will Eisner stuff, obviously, but I really one of the first comics I really got into was Darwin Cook's reboot of The Spirit that he did. Oh, terrible, terrible movie. Completely missed. I would suggest Darwin if you can, which is frustrating because you have to track them down. But if you could find Darwin Cook's reboot of The Spirit, that's really good. That's a really good. That's a really good version. Uh, do you? Well, you need to just let them heal. That's what I would say. Uh, some stretches. If you want my opinion, Robin, some stretching before you run and proper shoes is all you really need. Yeah. I was so I don't know. Never. We're roughly in the same age group. I know you're older than me, but I was so disappointed by the Spirit because I was a huge Frank Miller fan as a teenager. It's a little hard to say now. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, and stretches, Robin. You need to do. My mom, when she heard that, was like, I wanted to know what stretches you were doing because my mom loves running. He was. I'll credit this. He was. His later work is like pretty bad, but when he was younger, he was very good. Oh yeah, no, I was. Fuck, I practically worshipped Alan Moore. I think I've read. How many? Oh, I've read a lot. Yeah, not all the stuff, obviously, but like one of my favorite comics ever is Moore's Supreme. Okay, good. Yeah, good, good. Then shoes. What type of shoes were you wearing, Robin? Yeah, he's so good. It's ridiculous how good he was. Yeah, yeah, and that fucking garbage and the fucking that fucking garbage of a company, DC Comics, stole his creations out from under him. And anybody who doesn't, yeah, and anybody who thinks differently is a hack who hates creativity and would have been happy for Jack Kirby to starve on the street. Yeah, Jack Kirby and Ditko. Hacks, hacks beyond hacks. Yeah, pretty much any comic creator, really. Even Stan Lee to an extent. I know Stan Lee always gets the blame for that some of that stuff, and not undeservedly so. But Stan Lee really didn't make much money from his stuff as well. He just marketed his name. Or Siegel and Schuster famously were stolen. Bought Bill Finger. Yeah. Well, who's the other guy? There's a few other guys. I mean, Joel Simon is the other one. Joel Simon. But yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous. It makes me mad. Just makes me mad. And people still think that to this day. They're like, well, people are still like, well, like I like Marvel comics, and obviously the comics I read were not really the Kirby and stuff. Like yeah, it's MLJ. I've never heard of MLJ, or have I? Oh, this is an acronym I don't recognize. Oh God! Oh no, Robin! Ooh, no, 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 ooh, Robin! No, 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 ooh, no, ooh. Oh, Archie comics. Yeah, no, don't do. Oh God, no! Do not wear hiking boots while running. Yeah, no, that new. Yeah, no, no, no. You shouldn't wear hiking boots. Don't wear. Yeah, don't wear that stuff. You need more flexible shoes. for if you want to run. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need, yeah, yeah. That's what did it. No, but boots wouldn't work. You need your ankles need to be freer. Yeah, but they work different. They're not designed for high impact running. They're not designed for the type of running you're doing. You need running. You need like tennis shoes or running shoes. Just like, yeah, but the reason it broke was the reason you got that was because of those. No, no, no. You just need like tennis shoes or running shoes specifically. I have running shoes. I have Specialized. Yeah, yeah. Okay, then it's not. It's really not going to help if you wear those. I mean, go. You don't have to go run. You can go hike. It's just about moving your body. But yeah, you shouldn't do that. But yeah, running. You need your ankles to be quite a bit freer. The running shoes I have that I usually wear are actually illegal now, technically, because they work too well. Yeah. Oh, I had heard of the Shield. I didn't realize he was before Captain America. I mean, I knew of Archie. Okay, well, um, Robin. Yeah. Oh, that sounds funny. That's when you read about those things a lot, where it's like everything kind of comes out within a year or two of each other. It's always very funny. Um, doesn't necessarily mean they were ripping. It doesn't necessarily mean they were ripping them off, and similar is not rip off, but that is very coincidental. Okay, Robin, but you need. Yes, it's very coincidental. You you need to then get the appropriate shoes. I don't know what to say. Well, running on the sidewalk is fine. You're not being dumb, but it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed. We were looking up yesterday, seeing if there was any magazines interested in publishing it. We found a few, but they want you to. We found a few, but they want you to write in their universe. I don't know. The thing is with superhero fiction, it just hasn't had the breakout hit it needs to really ascend to that. Which is weird because there's a lot of like close adjacent superhero adjacent stories that do well. I mean, running on the sidewalk. What are you supposed to do? Get hit by cars? That's ridiculous. Everybody runs on the sidewalk. Uh, but you do need appropriate shoes for it. Unfortunately, try. You know what you should try, Robin? You should try volleyball shoes. Try volleyball shoes. I've never had more comfortable shoes in my life than volleyball when I wear volleyball shoes. But they're all try volleyball shoes. Those are really good. Yeah. You might I don't know. Okay, but Robin, but these are for Robin. But you can't run in boots. I'm sorry, you just can't. If you keep, yeah, they're made for walking. You can't run it. You can't run in those. If you keep trying to do this, you'll keep hurting yourself. I mean, you don't have to return the boots, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody screws up. There's nothing wrong with screwing up. It's just we move on from that. Don't return the boots. They're good. If they're good sturdy boots, they have what you need. Well, then return them. So the toe is okay. Okay. See you in a bit. I mean, I knew of that stuff, but I didn't. It didn't occur to me how old they were. Yeah, I will. I will. Yeah. Um. That's good. Watercolor's good. Yeah, that's awesome. I've done watercolor before. I theoretically should do it more, but I'm not at the moment. How's that going? I have to stop doing this. I have to stop doing this. I lose my confidence with drawing and I stop. I have to stop doing this. I have to. I have to. I have to. Star Wars? Ah, should have guessed. You want to share it? Last time I swear, and then I'm not. This I hate when I do this. I hate when I do this. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna just draw one. I'm gonna pick one thing, and then I'm just gonna draw it. I'm just gonna pick one thing, and then I'm just gonna draw it. It's just I lose my nerve is the thing. I was like I'm confident, and then I lose my nerve, and then I'm like, okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, I've made my decision. I made my decision. I'm gonna draw that and draw it. Yeah. What am I saying? I'm taking a class tomorrow. Ooh, lovely. Let's look. I mean, it'll certainly be better than my. Oh, that is lovely. What? Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Let me. Look how pretty that is. Look at that. That's nice. That's very nice. Very nice. Ugh. That's okay. Mm. La la la. I've been watching Severance. I know the season is done and everybody's done talking about it, but I'm finally catching up on it. I've made it through the Gemma episode, and I'm at the Cobell. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm taking a class tomorrow. I'm excited about that. It's a writing class. So we're going to write some short stories in it, inspired by fairy tales. Apparently, that's the goal, is to write a fairy tale story. I'm looking forward to doing that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then we got, partly since apparently I'm doing this whole, like, I'm just going to try and get published in magazines right now for a bit deal. Build up my writing credentials legitimately, and then maybe eventually work my way up to getting a publishing deal with a company. Not that I'm opposed to self-publishing, by the way. I still plan to self-publish some stuff, but that's the hope right now. It's good to. I should be trying to get more short stories written, especially since there's this children's magazine that pays really well. So I want to try and get that, a story that's appropriate for kids. Almost every other magazine pays about 8 cents a word. This one pays like 25 cents a word, and I'm like, jeez. It might not even exist anymore. I don't know, but it's like 25 cents a word for like for like 1,000 words. That's like $250 for. That's pretty good, especially when the standard is like 8. You guys are so annoying. These bots are so annoying on Kick. Hey, Robin, do me a favor. Spam the chat for just a sec, so we get rid of this one. There we go. Good. Spam it until the message is gone. Just with whatever. You can do it. One more. Yay! It's gone. Sure, go ahead. It's totally gone. I mean, feel free to keep doing it, but you got it off the screen. That's what I wanted. Oh man, I am so tired. You know, Robin, I used to run a 5K every day. I used to run a 5K every day. Somehow I lost that. Honestly, this has been good for me. I know it injured you, but it's been good. It's been good for me. It got me back. I'm starting to get back into the habit of doing it. Someday somebody's actually going to be named Tired, and it's going to be super surreal. Yeah. Oh, I was not athletic. No, neither was I, Robin. Neither was I. But last year, I ran. I ran a lot last year, and I got in really good. I got in decent shape for me, and then it all went wrong, and now I want to get back into that. I liked running. I liked playing like racquetball and pickleball. Honestly, those were fun. The thing is, here's the thing about youth athletics, especially for I'm going to argue the Homeward Bound set is it sucks. People are always so like everybody's such a jackass to you when you try and like play sports as a kid because it's like you got to do this, 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 and they scream at you if you do like something wrong, and it's yeah. Oh, you can get one that yeah. I think you can just get one that you can that hooks into the door automatically, and you don't really need to install. Um, but from my experience, it was always bad. Everybody was always mad at you every time you did something wrong. And then I liked baseball a lot as a kid, so I wanted to play baseball. I still like baseball as an adult, but as a kid, I really wanted to learn how to play baseball. But I was overweight and unathletic, so that means yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, no, you can't tell anybody anything. But you do listen to me, please, because I don't want you to get hurt. The one thing you do need is proper shoes. Yeah, I will never tell anybody anything. See, I never tell anybody anything until I'm well into it and I have a decent understanding of it. You, do you think I would have for the first year I streamed Robin? I never drew. Like I never drew on here. I actually kind of kept it secret. I was doing art because I didn't want people to see it. The worst. Well, don't. Yeah, don't. No, you have to wait to let it recover. My both my parents were very avid runners when they were young, and my mom my mom loves to run, so I always get like good advice from them, from her about how to do everything. Well, that's yeah. No, but you shouldn't. I hate that. Don't power. No, no, no. Do not power through. Do not power through. Let it heal first. It's not like your job depends on running. You can let it heal. Especially because right now this is. I mean, it hurts, but it's nothing you can't recover from. Um, but if you push it, you could seriously injure. You could like seriously damage yourself. Yeah, 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 yeah. So you got to just let it recover for a while. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have to just let it recover, which is correct. That's why you should start lifting heavy things. Start lifting weights. Get your body really strong and let your legs go weak. And I always think about like what would happen if a guy like you have to, the plan is for your arms to get so massive and tough that you don't even have to you don't have to use your legs anymore. You can just walk on your hands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But also, Robin, keep in mind this: you're not a professional athlete. You don't need to. Your life, the money, like your life doesn't depend on powering through things. Let it. Professional athletes, by the way, should also do this, but let it feel good again. Let it heal properly, and then do it. Don't push yourself. There's good instances where you should just power through things. Like today, honestly, like today, Robin, I did not want to run today. I was like, ugh, I was procrastinating. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think in his own way he's trying to help, but yeah, that's being a jerk. And remember, when you do it next, like do don't try and go fast. Like don't try and go too fast. Just do light jogging. You know. Don't. See, I just listen to audiobooks usually while I jog. It's good. Have you ever seen Severance, Robin? I'm in the middle of watching it. I just got to a very big episode of it. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's no, I don't. I don't. 100%, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't. That's always yeah. That's what always bugs me. It's like no, 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 no. I'm there with you. I was not athletic in my youth, so me trying to exercise and lose weight is not going to go the same way as like people who played like football in high school. It's you know it's kind of Robin. It's kind of like we're foreigners in a new land where the rules and customs are. We have to learn a new way of doing things. Yeah. Yeah. No, you were doing good for your body type. Some people are just some people are just born lucky with bodies that are good for sports. They call this in they call this in sports psychology, Robin. They call this the swimmer's paradox. called the swim. What it is this. Okay. You want to work out. You want to get in good shape. So you start looking at certain athletes, and you look at like you look at like yeah, and yeah. You should probably be look at like I'm sure there's like people online who design workouts specially for people with like conditions like yours. So what was I saying? Okay, so the swimmer's paradox is this: it's you want to work out and get in shape, and you look around, and and you start looking at different athletes and comparing, and you find that like football players, they're too big, they're too buff, like meaty, and you're like, no, that doesn't really work for me. You look at runners, and you like they're too thin, and it's like, okay, that doesn't work for me. And you kind of look at swimmers, and you go like, okay, perfect. They're muscular but not too muscular. They're thin but not too thin. It's a good. So you start swimming a lot, and you get really good at swimming, but you find that you're not like looking like a swimmer. And what you've discovered is the swimmer's paradox. And the swimmer's paradox is this: swimming doesn't make people look like that. It's people who look like that swim. You know, it, if you're built well for a sport, you'll probably succeed in it, and you'll keep doing it because you're built well for it and you're succeeding in it. And so, like, certain people who have like certain bodies that do well in certain sports will be more inclined to do it because they're doing good at it. And and it's not impossible, and happens all the time, that people who don't necessarily have the right bodies to play the sport can be quite good at a sport. But that, yeah, but it takes more time and dedication, and you're probably not going to be good at it. You're going to not be as good at it as right away as other people are. Because there's been guys who have been like 5'6", who've been quite good basketball, who like can do amazing things in basketball, but that's rare because like guys like that will most likely struggle initially and need more time and energy to become good basketball players. Yeah, so that's why they're tall. Yeah, so it's this thing of like, you look at athletes and you go like, why can't I look at that? It's like, no, it's because the sport like rewards certain aspects of people. It for basketball players, it turned out there's a good advantage to being tall. So thus more basketball players were tall. And so it's not impossible to be a great athlete with not the exact right body type needed, but that's just going to require a lot of work, and people tend to gravitate towards the stuff they can do well in. So us, Robin, me, you, probably, let's be honest, most people who are hanging out in these sorts of streams, we're probably not the most naturally gifted athletes of all time. Not saying that it doesn't mean that none of us could theoretically be great athletes. But we all tend to gravitate towards stuff we can be good at, and it wasn't athletics. So what I'm saying is like, it's perfectly justifiable. I get that insecurity. Trust me, I also have had insecurities like that, where I see like very physically athletic people, and I'm like, why can't I do that? I watch a lot of wrestling, and that's a thought that pops up a lot in my head. But there's people. There's people. Life is life. It's like how Michael Phelps Michael Phelps is double jointed, so that gave him a bit of an advantage, and not much of an advantage, but that 0.1% of advantage helped. I have to be careful by this because people will then take this idea and push it far too extremely, and I don't want to do that because that's not necessary. It's not true that things have to be certain ways. You know, like football, yeah, it helps to be a big beefy guy, but there's also ways to be a small guy who can run fast that's advantageous to football. It doesn't. You don't necessarily have to be the big beefy gentleman to do well. But it's harder. It's harder. There's guys whose body types fit the game better, and then there's guys who will probably have to work a lot harder to find. Um, Again, I don't know enough about sports to make this comment. It's just I've seen what I'm kind of referencing in my head is I've seen enough fights between a huge guy and a tiny guy, and you're like, oh yeah, the tiny guy's going to get obliterated, but then the tiny guy totally out outmatches the big guy in every regard. So it's like I'm like it's very possible to be a tiny man, and outplay a big guy, But you have to. It's all about like it's all about people who have to really think hard. Yeah, yeah. You know, because I was watching. Because like one of the interesting things in the history of MMA, the original history of MMA and like UFC, is like one of their favorite things they used to do was pit like these huge dudes against smaller dudes because they're like, yeah, let's see if a huge dude can beat this small dude up. That'd be interesting. And the smaller dudes with more experience would just win. Like I saw the fight between Minimal Man and Butterbean, and like if you've never seen Butterbean, Butterbean is like well he's like a kitchen appliance. He's like a slab of meat that it can move, and he's famous for being able to knock people out in like a second, just because his stuff is so powerful. But he's not necessarily a gifted. He has amazing knockout power, but he's not really like a gifted technician. So if you get a smaller guy who knows his technical stuff more, there's an easy chance that he can outrun Butterbean. And usually, because like one of the things that usually in a MMA, not that I'm an expert, but I have watched several matches as of late for research. One of the things that usually gets the bigger guys in MMA is like they're like these uber powerful like strikers, like they can like getting hit by them is like getting hit by like uh, a big bag of rocks. But if you can outlast that, like their big weakness is often they're bad at endurance. So if you can outlast that, if you can get them to like a second or third round, usually they become so exhausted that they're a lot easier to beat. So it's like there's always advantages. There's weaknesses and advantages in everything. Like there's this one Japanese fighter who's I forget his name, but what his real name is, but his nickname is Old Ironhead, and he's notorious because it seemingly you can just like crush his head in for like hours at a time and it won't affect him. He's like he can just kind of last for hours, and he's not particularly like a talented technical guy, but what he is good is he can endure he can endure quite a lot of punishment. Anyways, we're, we're I'm venturing very close into like the limits of my knowledge of MMA, but so. Ugh, I'm so tired. Nope. We're gonna keep going. Go eat. Do it, Pierre. Go enjoy, enjoy. Do. Just not doing this. It's very annoying, and I'm very annoyed by it as well. Um, okay, so 1980s. Uh, what is popular at the moment in cinema, well, in trashy B cinema, is ninjas are very very popular, and particularly what's been going on is a thing called the cut and paste method or the copy and paste method. And what happens is there's this Chinese company that is pumping out hundreds of ninja movies. Um, and what they're doing is they take cheap they take like B movies, not B movie, but yeah, cheap B movies like from China, Korea, Taiwan, or Singapore, and they recut and re-edit it with scenes of ninjas that they shot themselves, like, and they make a new movie, um, mixing the two together. Um, Mixing the two together, and two together, and then they just redub it with actors. So, and it can be pretty absurd, but and one of the recurring things they would do is they would have like ninjas dressed in bright like colors, and with headbands that said ninja on it. So I'm just drawing a scene from a ninja, one of those movies, because I thought it would be fun to draw one of those ninjas. One of the problems is I have to remember actually how you spell ninja. Oh yeah, and I. So and yes, it is. If you think about it, it is unusual that ninja movies were being produced majority in China when ninjas were Japanese. But yeah, it's very funny because what they would do is they just take movies and then they'd find like any white guys hanging around the hanging around in Hong Kong and just like quick film a few scenes with them dressed as ninjas. How's the ramen? Oh, you can actually see it now. Oh, what a joy. I thought it was a little out of focus. Oh, you can actually see the stuff now. What a joy. What a joy. Ugh. Okay. I'm going to take a few minute break and come back. Nice. Yay, ramen. Okay, I'll be back in a few, okay? I just need a tiny bit of a break. Here we go. Ashes. Hey. Good. I'm good. Tired. Did ran today. Oh, it's it's been a long few days. Long day. I'm gonna be quite busy tomorrow, so yeah. Trying to run some more. Robin up here inspired me to do it even, so yeah, I'm taking a class tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Not a not like a class where I get a grade, just a class I want to take for fun. Oh, but, it's a writing class. Since I'm trying, it's good. It'll inspire me to do more writing. I know it says a lot, but it's like the assignment is that by the end of the class, I'm supposed to have written a full short story. So that's why I signed up for it, because I wanted to do that. It's specifically how to write a modern day fairy tale, which is fun. We're going to be focusing on that. Since I'm sort of doing this, like maybe just submit to magazines and see who wants to publish me thing. They really are the foundation for a lot. Ashes. It's surprising how important it is to know to write a short story. Yeah, one thing I've learned is that a lot of really good books tend to be just a collection of short stories put together. What I mean by that is a really good book, you could usually pop out a lot of scenes from that, and it would just be a good short story on its own, if that makes sense. I think so. They're kind of it's a foundational skill. It's a foundational skill with writing is learn how to tell a story in as little amount of time as possible. Like right now, I'm trying to focus on flash fiction. Not focus on flash fiction. There's a writer, a magazine has a site has expressed interest in publishing a flash fiction I wrote, so I have been having to focus editing that for a while. Because I really want them to do that. That would be really awesome if they publish it. Um, so you you learn a lot. Yeah, but they always say with like writing, really with anything like with any type of storytelling, start small and then expand. You'll get a good sense of how to write stories. One idea I've had lately is taking all the characters I'm working on long stories for and write short stories for them to try and get them published before the long stuff, so people like care about them. Ash, in the past that used to be in the past when more people read short stories. It used to be a thing where there were just characters that were popular and no, okay. Well, Luna, I think would make a good animated show. I think Luna would make a really good animated show. That's kind of my thought process with that. Okay, so here's what and Ashes. Here's what you give. What you retain the rights to the story. What they want is first publication rights, and occasionally they'll ask for additional rights to anthologize. So what that means is, you they want to be the first people to publish it, and they may also want further rights to publish it again as part of an anthology. Yeah, I would love like Luna to be like an animated show, like an animated movie or something. That I think that would work really well. So yeah. So if you write short stories with your characters, all they own is the right. All they want is first publication rights. So you yeah 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 no, go small press. See, that's the halfway point. Yeah, go small press, go indie press for a while. Get some money, get your name out there. Well, I know there's different types. I know that there's yeah. Luna would I know there's different types. I know there's what's the one I'm thinking of? There's so like do you guys know like the Vampire Diaries? I think it's the Vampire Diaries, right? That they're okay. So the Vampire Diaries was the publishing company that did that. It's called a packaging company, and what they do is they come up with ideas. They kind of by committee create stories, and then they hand it off to a writer to write. And so they never actually maintain like the writer never actually maintains the rights to the stories, but which sucks. But they get, but it's like a job. I don't know. You probably should never like deal with packaging guys. But so like they get that, but I usually I don't know. Usually like usually at least me. Um, sure, I have zero connections in the publishing industry, And that's half of what an agent does, is have connections with people in the publishing industry. Would I ever get an agent? Sure. Yeah. At some point, I'm gonna need. If I want to make this a real thing, I need to get an agent at some point. But right now, I'm just gonna, just try and get published indie for a moment. But yeah, small press is a totally legitimate way to go. By the way. There's several small press publishers I'm looking at. Well, I know the problem. It'd be cool to be an agent, Ashes, but the thing with like agents is usually one of the agent's main job is they have connections in the publishing industry. So usually an agent is like, usually from my understanding, like a former, like they worked in the publishing industry and now they're independent. Or not even necessarily independent really, but it wouldn't be a terrible job, but it's I don't think I would. If I was offered ability to do that, I would. I'd probably take it, but I just don't think I have the qualifications. I've got one. I Yeah. But yeah. They usually explain, by the way, what rights they want in the thing. The most extreme thing I've seen, by the way, rights wise, is that they demand you to mention them in republications of things. But that's as much as it goes usually. How dare you? Actually, I mean, I wouldn't. I think it'd be pretty sleazy if there was a magazine that would want to have rights to your story completely. I don't even think the New Yorker, which is like the biggest literary magazine in the world, does that. And it's from my understanding, and I might be wrong on this, and also it might have changed, that authors usually get to keep a lot of the rights of their books. And maybe this has changed in years. Because like George R. R. Martin got to keep his rights. There's a lot of people do. Because I think what publishers get is like first publishing rights or something. If I might be, I'm going out on a limb here, so I'm not entirely sure. But again, stuff might have changed. Like the and it depends on who you're working for, especially if like you're working for like a packaging company or something, which is like, I don't know. Like the stuff I wrote for Pocket, I don't have the rights to use that. And I guess if you're like a ghostwriter or something. This story, if I make it through the editing process, this story will like I'll still own the rights to it. It's just because sorry, I know I'm going in circles, but it's because what you're selling is first publication rights usually, not copyright. I was thinking uh, this weekend might be fun. Marching band, hey. It's going, Fade. It's going. I'm working on it slowly. Working on it slowly. A little. At the moment, right now, I'm focusing just a little bit on the short story that's might get published. But I wrote some. Did I write? Yeah, I wrote a little bit last night on it. We'll have a. One day you get to read it, Fade. I think. I hope one day you get to read it because I think you might like it. How goes the life of a troubadour? Oh, don't worry. Yeah. Oh. I truthfully, I would be very honest. I would be very honestly curious for your thoughts on the thing. You know, uh, I would be very honest. Oh, that's so nice. My math teachers were always football coaches, so they were kind of mean. I would honestly be curious your thoughts on the book, Fade. I would because I don't know what your thoughts were because I think you would have some. I do have another project I'm working on. Uh, at some point, I need to show people. But you're good at math, right? You told me you were quite good at math. How is Rocket League doing, Ashes? Oh, that's really sweet. Well, she okay. What are you? I well, I compliment. I'm complimenting you. Hey, that's better than I did sometimes. Yeah, yeah. Get revenge on those. What was it? Sorry, chicken jockey. Chicken jockey. you're good at Fade. Jack block. Now, didn't you tell me you were good at math? What were you good at? Oh, you said biology, right? Yeah. Mr. Jack block. Yeah. Biology is the one you're good at. But your teacher complimented you on math, so that's good. I never got complimented on my math. Although, to be fair, I didn't try and I didn't want to try, so. Oh, wait, is that still legal, Fade? Is that still legal in school? I didn't know that was still legal. Yeah, yeah, that's not legal. God, the stupid fight I had to have about that. Sorry, there's a whole history where I got into a huge fight. I was going. So okay, Fate. So I was going to a religious school at one point in my life. Uh, Biggest mistake I ever made going to that religious school. Oh my god. And they refused to teach evolution. They said it was wrong, and they played non-stop tapes about how evolution isn't real and the church is correct. And I got so mad at that. I got, and that proceeded to be, yeah, that proceeded to be like a year-long fight in my life where I fought, where I kind of fought against the teachers teaching this garbage, and I eventually just dropped out of that school. Uh, what a disaster that was. Well, Bert, well, they're spyglasses, don't you know? Yeah. Well, Fade. We haven't technically found transitional species, except a lot of them, fossils, except a ton of them. And we only see it happening in real time all the time. But it's just a theory. Remember, Fate is what a disaster that whole stupid thing was. Up, like a dozen probably. We don't know because the mozzarella industry is trying to suppress it. Yes. Uh, why didn't that one pop up? So weird. Yeah. What's going on? Anyways. Yeah. Really? That's well, that's dumb. Sorry. So I want to be nice here, but you got a dumb friend there. You got a dumb friend there, Fate. That's just stupid. In some ways, I blame Jenny McCarthy for a lot of this stuff. Oh yeah, no, I have friends who believe stupid things too, but yeah. Oh, trust me, I have family who believes that too. No, Fade. You're from Fade. Can I say something very honestly? From what I've talked, from the amount we've talked so far, I you come off pretty intelligent to me. Yeah. I have people in my family who believe that too. I can top you guys though. You got you guys won't see this. You guys won't hear this. But hear me on this. This is how dumb members of my family are. They don't believe in space. They legitimately don't believe space exists, and they don't believe the sun revolves around the earth. No, the earth revolves around the sun. They believe the sun revolves around the earth. Also, they believe the earth is hollow. Yes. This person is a teacher, by the way. This person is not an art teacher, but I know. Fade. So, I mean, I could get into it. They're well, one, you have to understand they're very Christian. There is a subsect of evangelical Christianity that rejects um, the theory of relativity. Relativity, yeah. So she's not. They're not flat earthers. They're specifically hollow earthers. Yeah, but um, it's so. There's a whole. I could link you a video I watched on it. Basically, what the whole thought process is. But it's they don't, because of some stuff in the Bible. It's so stupid and complicated. They're related to flat earthers, but it's like they don't necessarily even believe in gravity. It's so. Uh, you've heard about how Galileo was arrested for saying that the Earth revolves around the sun. Uh, this is part of it. Yeah, it's 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 complicated. Or um, okay, if we want to be really specific, maybe I don't know. Like this is a justification I came up with is like Cain's wife. So basically, the Bible is about humans, but there were actually other humanoid hominids that existed. So maybe Cain. So maybe there was only like humans, but Cain's wife was a Neanderthal. Isn't it surreal to think of that? Like, this is one of the things that really gets me. Is like early evolutionary, like, really states that we were not like the only version of us to exist. Like, there was a whole swath of humanoids that hominids is the word that existed. Yeah, I don't really believe that. I believe that we evolved, not really from apes, but like an ape-like ancestor. Ape-like ancestor. We eventually started walking on our hind legs. We human. Yeah, yeah. Fade, when you were a kid, okay, when people were kids, like, raise their hands if it is. Uh, you know, was there divine presence in that? I don't know, but I don't know. I'll let people be up for their individual interpretations of that. I won't really say it, but one way or another. But uh, I don't believe that we were created in that way. Yeah. It's not monkeys. Yeah, it's like that's always one of the things like creationists will go on about. It's like, well, how are there monkeys? It's because it wasn't monkeys. It was a ape-like thing. Yeah, you can still do that, Fade. Oh, it's so sad you gave up on that dream. You could still become a tree. I'm specifically referencing a scene in the film Step Brothers. That's what I'm referencing for people who haven't seen it, where the dad reveals that his dream was to be a dinosaur, which is the greatest scene in all of cinema history. When in that scene, look it up. It's very funny. I laugh at that every time I watch it. Fade, were you a particularly big Lord of the Rings fan? Did you like the Entmutes? The Entmutes? I always forget how to say it. That's funny, Robin. Yeah. Oh well, there's tree people in Lord of the Rings. That's the reason I bring it up. There's tree people. There's a race of tree people in Lord of the Rings. Okay, tell me. I thought those might be your favorite. There's tree people in D&D also. The Dyads or Dryads? I always forget. Very cool. Were those your favorite books? What were your favorite books growing up, Fade? Oh, sometimes I don't know what's going on. Sometimes some things don't pop up for some reason. I don't know what's going on because that thing didn't pop up. So it's like I read Wings of Fire, which had tree dragons, and they were cool. And I was like, and then it said, "Lol, I'm kidding," and I'm like, why? Why would you kid about that? What a very specific thing to kid about. I don't get that. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Maybe they when I went to that school, it was like an endless series of like these random nonsense preachers who didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I mean, Wings of Fire. Oh, ooh, okay, the Scythe trilogy. What is that? I'm sure it's all nonsense. Oh, there's a TV show being. Are you excited for the TV show of Scythe? Yeah. Yeah. I just read that. Yeah. Yes, that's probably good. Fade, you are always very energetic. Really? So can I ask Fade? Just I'm curious. What's the last book you read? Little coward. That was for school though, right? That was for school though, right? You're. I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird is good. Is a good book. There's a reason. I like that. I liked that book a lot as a kid. Just where he can't find you. Hmm. Actually, this seems pretty interesting. No, it's fine. Fade. Part of the reason I ask you this is because you're kind of my resident. You and Tato are kind of my resident young people, and whenever I want to get a sense of what young people are into, I feel like just asking you two, and I can get a good sense of what's going on. It's spooky. It sounds spooky. Danny Coates. Oh no. Coates. Have I heard that name? Is he a comic guy? Oh, Darcy. Darcy Coates. So that's on me. Yeah, I've seen that. Um, Honestly, a little disturbed by that. Uh, there's there's some not super healthy messages in those books, but not to be approved. So I mean, an adult saying "don't read this" is never gonna get kids convince kids not to read it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna say that because it's like I know when I was a kid and adults were like, "You're not allowed to read something like this." That would be the first thing I would want to read. So that's not gonna. I know those tricks because I was that sort of kid. Well, I'm gonna go read it right now, Ashes. You can't stop me. No, but it was always like movies and stuff. Like if I wasn't allowed to watch a certain movie, oh, you better believe I would immediately try and watch it. I then, fortunately though, uh, yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's not. I'm not going to go on that. I have some issues with certain things that are being marketed towards teenagers nowadays, uh, but and kids just in general. But not going to complain about it because the way the way to the way to stop that is to write better. The way to stop that is just to have a better alternative, not to whine about it because it's like that's the only is just to have more fun, have a more fun alternative. I think. Yeah. Well, Fade, you have to understand a little bit with that. If I could, you have to understand that that would be the mentality of people back in those times. Is that if they would interpret it as predestined love, you know? Yeah. Good pick. Good pick. So, did you like Romeo and Juliet? You're the one who was. You're the one who's reading. Okay, you were the one who's reading it. What did you think? I'm curious. I'm always curious. I'm kind of I'm a big Shakespeare nerd, so I was like, I'm always happy to talk about Shakespeare with people. Yeah, it kind of is. It's a dumb plot. It's a dumb plot. There's better Shakespeare plays. Well, it's about dumb teenagers, but to be fair, it is one of the most famous endings ever. Well, by the way, it actually, uh, if you're curious, it actually spoils it itself within the first, with by calling them star-crossed lovers. Star-crossed means destined for tragic fate. Um, if I was in charge of teaching kids Shakespeare, and I could, the one I would introduce, I would swap out Romeo and Juliet for As You Like It. I think that would be because As You Like It is essentially where a lot of modern romantic comedies take their cues from. Yes, and that one is a lot more fun of a play. I think it's considered one of Shakespeare's funnier plays, and the central romantic couple in that is really likable. Is really likable as characters. Like people always really like the central couple in that. That's usually one of the like the most like. Or what's the other one? There's As You Like It. No, sorry, I'm getting As You Like It mixed with Much Ado About Nothing. Sorry, but I would teach that one too. I would teach As You Like It and Much Ado About Nothing. Those would be two plays I would teach. Yeah, that kind of ruined. Yeah, and then maybe Richard. Then maybe some of the Henriade. I always want to introduce like I think Fade. I think you'd really like As You Like It, and I think that'd be the one you have a lot of fun with. But they always see the thing is they always do Romeo and Juliet because it's about teenagers, and that's why they teach it to kids. That's why they teach it to kids because they're always looking for like classic literature that like teenagers might like. I, I don't know if I've read that one. It's not. By the way, that doesn't mean you have to like it. But that's why they're teaching it to you. Ugh. That's why they're teaching it to you. It doesn't mean I didn't like Shakespeare. Not Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare. I was bored by Romeo and Juliet as a kid. I liked Macbeth. I liked Macbeth as a kid. That was the one I really liked. Really? Because Macbeth is cool, and are they going to do Macbeth? Macbeth might be more fun. Macbeth also has a much better female character. Has much better. Has one of like Shakespeare's best female characters in Lady Macbeth. The well, you're probably going to read it. Is the thing is why I'm saying that. That's probably coming up for you is Macbeth because they usually do. They usually do Macbeth. They usually do Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet. So guess it would. I would love that. I mean, besides the real famous one. Okay, for 100 points, which is a famous animated movie that's based on a Shakespeare play. It's one all of you have probably seen. I'll give you a moment. I'll give you a moment to think about it. For a million fake internet points. Okay, yes, technically. Yeah, okay. That's not the one I was thinking of. But yes, Gomeo and Juliet is correct. I forgot about Gomeo and Juliet. Okay, it's Lion King. Lion King is based on a Shakespeare. It's based on Hamlet. Lion King. You win, Fade. You defeated me. I forgot about Gomeo and Juliet. I was thinking of Lion King. How Lion King is essentially Lion Hamlet. Yes, you are. Listen. Yes. The comedian? See, that's a very obscure joke because Albert Brooks' real name is Albert Einstein. And None of you probably know who Albert Brooks is. That's fine. Uh, he voiced Marlin in Finding Nemo. Um, yeah, I really like As You Like It. That's a really fun one. Um, and Much Ado About Nothing is really good. Hamlet, obviously. Sorry. This is a thing I'm actually very interested in. And Ashes. Which play do you think would make a good? Uh, it was actually something I was so interested in for a while. I even kind of considered. For a while, I even kind of considered making this my major, Shakespeare studies. I didn't in the end, but it was something I very seriously thought about doing for a while. One time, I thought about Macbeth. Okay. Well, I was happy to talk. I think it's Mack if I remember correctly. But yeah, Macbeth. Okay, I'm always happy to talk to you, Fade. And you are smart, Macbeth. Yes, it's Mack. The Tempest. You are smart, Fade. Okay. Yeah, that is the Tempest. That's a really beautiful one too. I'm certain there is one. I'm almost certain there is one. How much do you want to bet there's one that one exists already? Anime based on Shakespeare. Anime based on The Tempest. Because I feel like I heard one. There's there's Romeo. Yeah, yeah, there is one. There is one. It's not Blast of Tempest. It's called. It's not. Apparently, it's not very heavily based on it, but it's inspired by it. I'm still waiting for the full adaptation of the Henriade, but you should. There's I know there is an anime series based. There are several anime series. I don't think I have. I'm very behind on anime. I was into it for a while and then I just kind of stopped watching it. But to be fair, I kind of stopped watching a lot of things, which is bad. It's bad. I do read a lot more now. I read like books and stuff, but my favorite, I liked Kino's Journeys. Yes, they're quite fascinating. You learn a lot. You learn a lot by reading actual books and or listening to them on audio. Um, I'm trying to like one idea lately I've had is I want to write some flash fiction starring a few of the characters, including Luna, on bigger projects that I'm working. So to give some history of hip literature, if you're curious. Literature wasn't always the way it was. I know that is obvious, but um, before it used to be relatively normal to have like reoccurring short there to be a series of short stories following one character and their various adventures. You know, if that makes sense. And I always thought that was such a shame we kind of gave that up. There's still some stuff like that exists, by the way, but nobody cares about them anymore. And I always thought that was such a shame we kind of gave that idea up in the popular consciousness. This drawing sucks. I can make it better, but it needs work. Like the genre of fantasy is really birthed in that sort of pulp mentality of like this will be a series of short stories. One of the things I talk about this a lot, but it's always fascinating to me. One of the things about Lord of the Rings that's frustrating is it kind of like retroactively wrote all the other pre Lord of the Rings fantasy out of the history books in a way for a lot of people. Like the thing is, Lord of the Rings is super influential, and like fantasy would not be the same as it is today without it, and generally literature. So like to say, I know some people who like try and discredit the influence of Lord of the Rings. I'm like, no, 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 no. Fantasy is very different because of Lord of the Rings. But what's frustrating is what's frustrating about Lord of the Rings is it kind of retroactively got rid of a lot of the genre. Not through any fault of its own, just because people were so obsessed with it that the actual influence of other people on the genre seems to have been forgotten because people are just constantly trying to do Lord of the Rings, which is weird because the leftovers are all there. The leftovers are all there, and the second people look into it, you'll start noticing trends, but Like, because the authors themselves are still into this stuff, but I mean, the authors don't matter. Um, so right now I'm reading a book from like 1890. It's a fantasy book called The King of Elfland's Daughter. And it's very fascinating to read because it feels so different from. It both feels different and feels not different from the way fantasy books work. Because there's a lot of stuff that it does that we would never do in fantasy nowadays. Like, like one of the big scenes is it. One of the things I found really interesting is it actually asks the question of like it deals with the thing of like, can elves become Christians, which is like you don't really see that. Like, can elves have a Christian ceremony? um, they would never do that in fantasy these days. It's like that would never be brought up. um, or they and like the elf in question doesn't even really have a conception of what Christianity is, but agrees to it anyways. But it's kind of setting up a tragedy, anyways. Ugh, this sucks. Hey. One second. You know that's a very good question. What would happen if Lord of the Rings was never published? I don't know. Well, the thing about it is, Tolkien was inspired by several things, including Lord Dunsey. Um, but one of the main things he was inspired by was a Finnish epic poem called the I always forget how to say it. It's the Krova or the Krovu. And what it did essentially what he did, which is um, took all the like disparate elements Finnish like myth and legend, and put them into a cohesive single world and story. So probably somebody else would have been inspired by that at some point. That is a very, very good question. What would have been the inspiration? Maybe Conan? I don't know. I don't know. What would have been the inspiration? Like if this was an alternative universe where, like say Tolkien was never born, what would have happened? Because you got to remember also that him and C.S. Lewis were quite good friends. Were very good friends. They were part of a literary group, a kind of a group together called the Inklings. So maybe without him, Chronicles of Narnia never get written, which was, it's less influential. But yeah, I mean, maybe somebody would have thought of that idea eventually. I wish one idea I had as a kid for a very long time, and at some point I might try and do this again, is I wanted to do what Tolkien did, but for American mythology. Like, create a cohesive world where all of, like, mythological American creatures interact with each other and have a distinctly American fantasy. Was a big idea I had, but I don't know. Yeah. Well, part of it is like I was going to do like Tolkien, which is like make them a coherent species. I don't know. Still might do that at some point. I mean, in some ways, the project I'm working now is kind of that, but I don't know. I may maybe make that more explicit because I have a thing that I want to do inspired by the Old West, but I don't think there's ever been a truly successful attempt to make like an American fantasy. Because like Americans always write English fantasies. Like when we write fantasies, we write English fantasies. We don't write American fantasies. I mean, lately we've been writing more Norse inspired fantasies, but that's still not, culturally. This part. It would be cool to write other fantasies of like based on around different mythologies, but also part of the problem is with some of this stuff is that I've said this before that Norse and Greek mythology are very overexposed. But part of the problem with that is that saying that is part of the reason they're overexposed is because we have very definitive records of them written down. And Norse mythology, we have it written down through kind of sheer luck because somebody just had this idea. Because a guy named Snor, if you're curious, a lot of our knowledge of Norse mythology comes from a single guy by the name of Snorri Snorrenson. Snorrenson, who at one point was essentially the prime minister of Iceland, and he got into his head that he should write down these old he should write down the old tales before they disappear. So he spent a good deal of his life like collecting them, but he also Christianized them, but in a way that is very obvious to tell where it is. So one of Snorri's things is he had this contention that the old gods weren't actually gods, just um, they were. This is a cultural thing. So this is a thing they like to do. They were actually survivors from Troy, from the fall of Troy. And they escaped to Scandinavia, which is okay. That's a lot of presumptions there, but that's more about just trying to give Scandinavians legitimacy in classical Europe sense. Um, but what that meant is he removed like because like old people at the time were afraid that it was like demonic those stories. So with him doing that, it meant that the stories could be told. But there are definitely like Christianization elements of it. Like after Ragnarok, there's references to another god that will rise at some point, and what is this? Yeah, and it's like people are like, "Oh, this is he's referencing Jesus." But beggars can't be choosers, and the fact that he did that meant that we pretty much got a very good collection of Norse mythology preserved for future reference. So, and that's better than like say the who am I thinking? Than say like the Slavs or the Baltic peoples who weren't so lucky. Because we only really have scant references to what, like, say, the Slavic people worshipped. There's more ways to find, by the way, what the Slavic people probably worship, but we don't have any definitive things. There's a lot of stuff we don't definitively have on Slavic worship. Because we know, okay, so we know. We know there is. We know there's a god Perun, or Paran, I'm trying to say it correctly, who we believe to be kind of the equivalent of Thor in a lot of ways, and there's other stuff. Anyways, you have to stop me talking, or I just go on forever. kind of felt bad about missing out on the weekend, so I wanted to go a little crazy. Not crazy. That's the word you use. A little longer today. But, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Ugh. I don't know if the ability to keep going. I think I'm going to call it here, guys. Unless anybody wants to talk. Okay, call it here. Okay. My mom is making dinner, but okay. Do you have a request? Because I'm. Do you have a request, Ash? Oh, that's right. Okay. I was gonna do a jerk thing where I like draw the state of New Jersey, but with devil horns. But I'm not gonna do that. Okay, let me get a reference. Well, that would be my personal interpretation. Okay. Okay, my own personal interpretation. Okay. Okay, I have an idea. One second. I want to get something else. Huh. This is just going to be quick, but you'll see. I'm doing something. I have something in mind. fact that it has a like a horse's mouth is really annoying because it's like. I have trouble with horses. Equinines. I always do this. I always get too. By the way, have I mentioned I hate drawing wings? I used to do art trades with people all the time, and it always frustrated me immensely. Like I would have these like decently drawn things, and I'm like, oh right, I have to add stupid wings, and it always would ruin the drawing. Yeah. Boop boop. Oh, what is it? I have one. It's called the it's called like 1 second. Mothman is pretty great, but I have one that I really like. American Cryptid. The Squonk is my favorite. I always forget its name. The Squonk. This is the Squonk. The Squonk. The Squonk is a creature that's so ugly that it cries whenever it sees itself, and it hides. It only goes out at night because it's so ugly. Everybody would hate it, so it hides at night. And if you ever see one, it'll get so scared. It'll be so scared by you judging it that it'll break down crying. That's the Squonk. That's my favorite. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Okay, so this is my conception of the Jersey Devil. Um, it's Tony Soprano. It's my attempt to draw Tony Soprano as the New Jersey Devil. Okay. Probably call it here, right? Or not. I mean, okay. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna raid Birdie. I don't say Birdie off. Come on. Okay.
I needed to go home. The sun. And I couldn't do a single thing about it. My thoughts slid past, unable to focus on the present for some reason. Superstar Sean Arnold is reigning with a party of 5. Thank you for the raid, Mr. Superstar. How did you